Hello everyone, it's Jinju and welcome to episode 2 of my new series where I am starting my art business and product line completely from scratch all by myself. In today's video, I will be showing you a few of my very first product designs that I created using one of the design elements I made in episode 1. To make these mockups, I will be using the platform Printify, and I will show you guys the step-by-step process that I took to start turning my art into real products. So the very first thing I had to do was convert the art that I made last time into PNGs to be able to put them on the actual products. So to do this, I went through all 3 of my drawings that I made last time, which were all black line work, and I converted them all to white line work instead, just because I knew that all my products I would prefer to have darker colors for the background. So I needed them to be white to have them stand out a bit. After that, I went over to Printify and looked through the catalog at all the different options they had for products and decided that I wanted to start off pretty simple and easy, so I chose a hat, specifically this vintage corduroy cap. It seemed like it was pretty good quality and would match the overall aesthetic of what I wanted to go for, so I clicked on that one and started to design. The first thing I did was take the cross that I designed last week and place it right on the center of the cap. I played around with the adjustments a bit, but tried to just make sure it was centered. And then on the back side, you'll see that I type out the words Isaiah 41:21. This is just a verse that I thought had really good meaning and would be a nice thing to put on a hat as a daily reminder, both for other people and for yourself. You'll see that I use the font Lagrissimo for most of my products just because I thought it looked pretty nice. And I made sure to center that right on the back. And then on the left side, I type out the beginning of the meaning of the verse, which is fear not. Made sure to center that and get it all properly sized. I tried to make sure that all the sizing for all the text elements was the exact same. Even though this right side you'll see has a bit more text where it says the rest of the verse, which is for I am with you. So in total, it's fear not, for I am with you. And thought that was pretty nice. Made sure to do some last bit adjustments. And then after this, all I had to do was click on Save Product, and you'll see that it'll bring up a bunch of different mockups. I believe these are all AI generated, but they look pretty nice to me. I tried to zoom in, but I wasn't able to in this exact area, but I could tell that the line work for the cross seemed a little bit faint, so I ended up going back in trying to adjust it and make it a little bit bigger. Unfortunately, the size box, which is where you're allowed to put your designs, was a bit small. But after adjusting it, I thought it looked a little bit bigger. And this was just a worry because I wanted to make sure that the embroidery would actually show the cross, since you can only make a stitch so small. But it seems okay now. And after that, I was searching through the mockup library. I only ended up going with mockups that just had the product, not the people. I know sometimes having the people with the mockup or with the product is kind of nice to see them wear it, but I thought it was a bit distracting for my purpose and for this video. I also ended up just going with the black, olive, and navy blue colors. I thought it matched the vibes a bit better, as the red and the brown were a bit brighter than I had expected. So after that, I just saved the design, and the last step was just to confirm the mockup selection, and I wanted to have the black one as the primary listing option, I guess you could say. So I clicked that, and then all I had to do now was edit the description. I pretty much kept it the same as Printify had autofilled, but then added in the size table. And then also you'll see that I end up going back later to add in the title. But before that, I skipped down to the pricing section. I really wanted to have the price be a bit lower than it seems feasible for this product. You'll see here that I was a bit shocked to find that it was quite high for the production cost, so I had to raise it a bit higher than I preferred. But I think I ended up going with, in the end, $35, even though that meant that my profit margins were a bit small. I really didn't mind for this project, or for this product, just because it's one of my favorite designs that I knew I was going to make, and so I thought it was more important that people could just have the product than for me to profit off of it. Now you'll see I'll go back up to the title and add that in. I just call it "Fear Not, for I Am With You," and then put corduroy cap in the title so that everyone knows that's what the product is. I'm not sure if I'll change this naming convention in the future or the description, but that's what I'll start out with. After that, I went and started to pick out my second product. So the second product I went with was a phone case. I'd actually designed a singular product before with this exact tough phone case model for my own personal use, so I knew it was pretty good quality, so that was kind of an easy choice. And I went through and I selected every single model for phone options that they had, which you'll see may have been a mistake later, but that's what I did to start out with. And I put that same cross design right on the top in the right corner, and then you'll see I add in the Lord's Prayer to be like the center focal point of the design. I know this prayer is pretty simple and well known by most people, and I think it's a good reminder to have on your phone and something easy to pray about if you just want to remember it more daily and say it more often. So I thought it'd be cool to add it onto a phone case, which you use every day, all the time. And I thought it just looked cool. It was a nice length and size, so I added that in, and then to make it just a little cuter, I added in some of these little sparkly stars. I'm not sure what they're called, but I thought they looked cute. I made those white, of course, to match the rest of the design, and then I spent a bit of time just playing around with the layout, making sure my text was all centered, and then trying to size the stars a bit differently so it could give a nice depth effect. I added stars into 4 different areas. I probably could have added more, but I didn't want that to be the main part of the design, so I just tried to keep it simple. You can see me playing around with the shapes, trying to make them not too big but still visible and able to be printed out nicely. After I finish up this design, I believe this design was for the Samsung S23. I started out with that one because that's the one, or the layout I had used previously, and so I just knew how to work with it a bit better. But after that, I ended up going into each and every single individual model and adjusting the design slightly so that every single model could have a template that looked nice. They all look pretty similar, but for some of the iPhone models, you'll end up seeing that I have to adjust the cross positioning to make it a bit more centered, which actually ended up looking a bit better than I expected, so I didn't mind too much. They're pretty, yeah, there's a lot. I think for the future, if I were to design phone cases, I might not end up selecting every single model. I'm not sure which ones are the most popular, which is why to start out with, I just decided to select all of them. But it's kind of a lot of work to design or to change every single one of the elements, but this design was pretty simple, so it was all right. After that, again, I saved the design and looked through all these mockups. There's so many of them. Oh my gosh. I'm not sure how it'll look with the listing, but hopefully it's not too busy or confusing. And then I went in and tried to select the S23 or the Samsung S23 as my primary model. I noticed though that Printify, sometimes the mockups, since I'm guessing they're AI generated, they can be a bit blurrier sometimes than others. So I just tried to adjust it here by going in and out a couple of times to make sure that it looked good enough and like clear enough so that the customer can see the actual line work, specifically for the cross. The little stars and the text didn't really have any issues, but I just wanted to make sure the cross, since it was the one part I did really design all by myself, looked good. And yeah, so after that I double checked all of them looked good, and they did. And so I selected my primary mockup, and then of course went down into the description and used the same naming convention to change the title, called it the Lord's Prayer Tough Phone Case. I kept most of the description the same on this one, since I thought it had some pretty good information about the actual materials of the phone case. And then I went down and edited the price. Thankfully, all the models were the same price for manufacturing. I noticed with Printify, sometimes if you have different models or different sizes, the product costs can vary a lot. But this one was pretty nice and simple. And then you can see there that my top two are the two newest products I made. And second to last, I decided to do a notebook. I ended up going with this hardcover journal, and I'm not sure how good of a rating you should look for on Printify. This one was at 8.7, so I might end up going back later to select a different manufacturer if there's a better one out there. But hopefully for now it's fine. And then for this design, I kind of just wanted to keep it pretty similar to the phone case design, since on some of the iPhone models, I ended up liking a lot how the cross looked in the centered. That's what I decided to do for this notebook. So I placed all the little stars around. I think I used the exact same number of stars here too as well. Even though there's a lot more space, I honestly could have added more stars, but whatever. This is our first designs, it's okay. And then on the back, I wanted to put another cross because I really like how the design looked, and I made it really, really big. I don't know if I actually should have just ended up leaving the back cover blank. I don't know which people would prefer more. I thought it was cool, but comment down below if you'd prefer the back is just empty. We'll see. And then I had to recenter it a couple of times, since the binding of the book kind of messed with my perception of where the exact center is. But after that, I thought these mock-ups looked really nice compared to some of the other ones. So after that, it was pretty simple to select my primary ones and then, do all the same old good stuff. Change the title, the description, and then the pricing. And soon we'll be on to our last product design. The last one you'll end up seeing, I actually was not even going to include it in this week's video. It was kind of when I was just trying to play around with my designs last week, but I thought it actually ended up looking kind of nice, so I decided to include it. It's pretty much also the same exact design as the phone case and the notebook. And so this one does actually have more stars than the others, but I had the wrong cross. I had another version of a cross I drew before, but it was kind of messed up, so I replaced that, and that was all for this mouse pad design. And that means we're all done with the 4 designs I started off with for this week. I know they're all pretty simple, and the last 3 were kind of all the same, but I think it's nice to have a lot of the same designs across multiple products, so people have the option to choose which products they like. But yeah, that was the main cross that I used for all the designs, and here are the final images and mock-ups for the 4 products that I made. I hope you guys like them and like how they turned out. I personally really like the phone case and the hat a lot and might order one for myself. But comment down below what you guys think, and stay tuned for the next episode where I will either potentially be making more designs, of course with the other images that I drew, or designing more things, more intricate images for my products. We'll see. But yeah, that's all for this week's video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next week.